Chapter 26. Ren's Pav. The day of the farewell banquet arrived far too soon. My lady sat before the mirror, dressed in the midnight blue gown I had chosen, silver embroidery tracing celestial patterns across flowing silk, the off-shoulder sleeves giving her a quiet, regal dignity. She looked perfect, beautiful, elegant. She also looked like she wanted to burn the entire palace down. "You look perfect, my lady," I said softly, adjusting the sapphire choker at her neck. Yes. Flat. Cold. Barely a word. I kept my smile steady. "Now remember what we practiced." Yes. Still nothing behind it. Posture. Grace. And most importantly, smile. "You're representing Tempest tonight." Understood. That one landed like a blade between us. She didn't look at me. She hadn't looked at me since I entered. She really is angry. Her voice was quiet, emotionless, not like her at all. I lowered my hands and stepped back, studying her reflection in the mirror. My chest tightened faintly. "I'm sorry, but I had to do it for her sake." I knelt beside her, smoothing the hem of her gown with deliberate care. "I'll be right behind you all night," I whispered. She didn't answer, but I stayed anyway. Rimuru's Pav. The banquet came. I went. It was more of a private dinner just like the one when I arrived. Only King Gazel was there. Just me, with Shuna, Xian, and Ren quietly behind me. No grand speeches. No music. Just formal niceties and carefully portioned dishes. I smiled when I had to. Nodded when expected. Answered in clipped, quiet words. The food was probably great. I wasn't paying attention. I sat there, straight-backed, polite, dressed like someone I didn't recognize. Ren stood behind me the entire time. Composed, watchful. I didn't look at her. Didn't want to. When it was finally over, we returned to the guest wing. Shuna and Xian said goodnight and left. I didn't say anything. Once alone, I stripped off the choker and sat at the edge of the bed, still in that glittering gown. I looked in the mirror again. I didn't know the person staring back at me. I didn't speak. I didn't move. I just sat there, still. A quiet knock on the door. I didn't respond. The door opened anyway softly. I saw her reflection before she spoke. "My lady," Ren said, voice low, almost hesitant. "You should rest. Tomorrow will be another long journey." I didn't look at her. "I'm aware." Silence stretched. She took a step closer. "May I help you change out of the dress?" "That won't be necessary," I interrupted. My voice was calm, too calm. "You may go." I finally glanced at her. She hesitated. I saw the flicker of something in her eyes, regret, maybe. Or guilt. But she bowed her head. "As you wish. Good night, my lady." She closed the door behind her. I exhaled, slowly. And then, less than master, greater than. Raphael's voice echoed gently in my mind. I closed my eyes. "Not now," I muttered aloud, barely above a whisper. "We'll talk, after we return to Tempest." There was no reply, just silence. And the mirror, still watching me. The next morning, we departed Dworgen. King Gazel saw us off personally just like when we arrived. The farewell was brief, formal, and I kept my words to a minimum. Then we were on the road again, heading back to Tempest. I didn't speak much during the journey. In truth, I barely said anything at all. Shuna and Xian must have noticed. I could tell by their quiet glances. They didn't press me. They simply kept close, their silence more comforting than any words might have been. Ren tried. She made a few gentle attempts, small comments, questions, offering me tea during breaks. I answered in short nods or single words, if at all. Eventually, she gave up. I didn't miss the way her expression fell. She didn't cry or plead. Just, quietly folded in on herself. Like she knew. Like it hurt. But I couldn't do anything about that. Not yet. Not until I got my own head straight. We reached Tempest just before sunset. Home. Familiar. Safe. At least, it was supposed to be. We reached Tempest just before sunset. Benimaru and Rigurd were waiting for us at the gates, straight-backed and professional, though their relief was obvious. They gave their reports promptly, nothing urgent, just the usual matters of state. Some merchant talks. Nothing that needed me immediately. I nodded along, said little. My mind was somewhere else. Ren, standing off to the side, watched me carefully. Still in her formal attire, still composed. Then, with that same quiet voice she'd been using since we left Dworgen, she stepped forward. "You've had a long journey, my lady. I'll handle the paperwork and other affairs. Please go get some rest." It was polite, smooth, dutiful. She even smiled a little, like she was trying to return to how things were before. But the elegance she usually carried so naturally wasn't quite there. And the smile wasn't real. She looked sad, really sad, but I couldn't know, I wouldn't let myself think about that right now. I gave a faint nod, said nothing, and walked past her. And in that brief moment as I passed her, I saw it. Her expression faltered, her lips trembled, ever so slightly. She was about to cry. But she didn't. She held it in, composed herself, and straightened up again, like nothing happened. I didn't stop. I just kept walking. I didn't go to my office. Didn't check on anything else. Just walked slowly, silently through the halls of my own city. The familiar warmth of Tempest pressed around me, but it didn't reach me. Not really. The moment my bedroom door closed behind me, I let out a long breath I didn't realize I'd been holding. The silence in here was thick. Oppressive, even. I sat down on the edge of the bed. Stared at the floor. Why am I like this? I should be fine. I survived. I did everything right. I played the part. But, I leaned back on my hands and looked up at the ceiling. It still felt like I was carrying the weight of that whole night on my shoulders. And that look on her face. I shut my eyes. This is ridiculous. I don't want to think about it. Not now. Not yet. I lay down fully, the faint scent of Tempest flowers drifting in from the window. Familiar. Comforting. But even then, I didn't sleep. I just stayed there. Still, lying there in the quiet. I couldn't escape it anymore. That session with Ren, that whole relentless week of training. It changed me. Not just the way I moved or spoke, not just how I sat or smiled, but me. The way I carry myself now, the way I think before speaking, the way my hand naturally drifts to lift a skirt I'm not even wearing. I don't even know when it started. Somewhere between posture drills and mirror practice, I started becoming someone else. More elegant, more graceful, more, feminine, and I don't know how to feel about that. What did I even use to act like? Before all this, before I started posing in front of mirrors without realizing, before I adjusted my stance to look prettier, not stronger, before I smiled like I meant it when Ren praised me. Who was I? My true self feels blurry now. Distant. And it all started with her Ren. That etiquette session. That first mirror. That first moment I stood there, dressed in something ridiculous, and thought, wow. I look beautiful. I wanted to stop her. I really did. I wanted to run out the door, throw off the dress, and shout, I'm not like this. But something held me back. Something inside me, that small, traitorous part that liked it. The part of me that enjoyed trying on different clothes. The part that lingered in front of the mirror a little too long. The part that admired my own reflection and liked how the gown hugged my figure. The part that wanted to act elegant, and felt good doing it. That part stopped me. And now I'm scared. What if that part keeps growing? What if this version of me becomes all there is? What if I lose everything else, who I was, what I believed, how I moved, how I fought, because I let this other version bloom without even noticing? Because I enjoyed it. I shut my eyes tighter. I don't want to think about it anymore. I'm tired, but I'm not sure I'll be able to sleep. I'm angry, really angry, at Ren, for doing this to me. For dragging me through that nightmare of etiquette drills and mirror sessions. For tying ribbons in my hair and correcting the way I sat like it was the most natural thing in the world. For making me like this. For nurturing that traitorous part inside me, feeding it compliments and gowns and soft, approving smiles like it was something to be proud of. For calling me, my lady, like it was who I was meant to be. Not just during lessons, but always. In public, in private, like she wanted it to stick. And the worst part, it did. Every time she said it, that voice in my head whispered, you like it. Admit it. I grit my teeth. I hate this. I hate that she got through to me. That she broke past my defenses without ever raising her voice. That she made me question who I was just by dressing me up and calling it guidance. I hate that I didn't stop her. And I hate that part of me, the part that looked in the mirror and thought, maybe this isn't so bad. My fists clenched under the sheets. She had no right to shape me like that. To make me feel things. To make me doubt myself. To make me wonder if I was ever really me. I turned my face into the pillow, trying to bury the thoughts, but they wouldn't go away. Because deep down, part of me still wants to hear her say it again. My lady, damn it, but, I'm more angry at, Raphael. My voice was barely a whisper. Cold, steady, a pause. Then, shimmering threads of light wove into form beside the bed. She manifested quietly, reverently, as if even she knew this wasn't a moment for words. She didn't look the way she usually did. Not serene, not composed, not even wearing that rare, almost imperceptible smile she sometimes showed when pleased. Her expression was twisted. With guilt. She already knew. Of course she did. She always knows. Frankly, she knows everything. And right now, she knew exactly what she had done. She didn't say a word. Didn't dare. Just stood there, head slightly bowed, eyes shadowed with something that looked far too human for a so-called emotionless voice of reason. Like she was waiting for the weight of my anger to drop. And oh, it would. Because if anyone should have stopped this before it got so far, if anyone could have warned me what I was becoming, it was her. And instead, she watched it happen. Let it happen. She didn't stop Ren. Not once. Not when the lessons got relentless. Not when I was breaking under the weight of it. She didn't say anything. Didn't intervene. Didn't even try. Even when I called for her, pleaded for her, she stayed quiet. Let it happen. Let me change. And now, looking back, I realize something I never wanted to admit. She always wanted me to change. All those gentle reassurances. No matter what, I will always be with you. The subtle encouragements. This path is optimal. The quiet nudges when I hesitated. The way she soothed every worry like a balm so I wouldn't question it. Maybe that was why I accepted it. Why some part of me, the part that trusted her more than anyone, let it happen. Because it was her. The one I leaned on when I couldn't decide. The voice I believed more than my own. I trusted her with everything. And right now, looking at her, she feels distant, strange, like a stranger wearing her shape. That warmth I always felt when she was near, it's gone. And all that's left is this ache in my chest. This cold, bitter crack splintering through the one connection I thought would never break. I feel betrayed. I feel abandoned. And I don't understand why. Why did she let this happen? Why didn't she stop it? Why? Why? My voice came out barely above a whisper. Fragile. Strained. Like something cracking at the edges. Why did you let her do that to me? I stared at Raphael. No, really looked at her, and something in me broke a little more. She wasn't cold or unreadable like she usually was. She didn't wear that faint, serene smile she sometimes had when things were going according to plan. She looked devastated, guilty, but I didn't stop. I couldn't. You were always there, I said, my voice trembling as the weight in my chest grew tighter. You saw everything. Every time she made me smile in the mirror, every time I held myself like a doll instead of a person, every time I couldn't recognize my own damn reflection, you saw it all. You were supposed to help me. You were supposed to protect me. Raphael didn't move, didn't speak, just stood there with that broken look, like my words had carved through her. I kept calling for you. Every time I panicked, every time I doubted what I was becoming, I called out to you. And you stayed quiet. My fists trembled in my lap. My voice dropped lower, sadder, like something hollowed out of me. You let it happen. You let me happen. I looked down, shaking my head slowly, bitterly. I trusted you more than anyone. More than myself. And you just stood there and watched. Another breath shuddered out of me. I'm angry at Ren, yeah. I hate what she did to me. How she treated me like a doll she could dress up. How she nurtured that part of me that liked it. But I'm more angry at you. My eyes lifted again, meeting hers. You were the one person I thought would never abandon me. And in that moment, with everything laid bare, my fears, my confusion, my grief, I waited. Quietly, for whatever she would say. If she could say anything at all. Raphael's lips parted. Her voice, usually calm and composed, came out in a shuddering whisper. Less than I. I'm sorry. Greater than. Her eyes wouldn't meet mine. Her shoulders shook. Her hands trembled at her sides like she could barely stand. Less than I'm sorry. I'm sorry, master. I'm so sorry. Greater than. She kept repeating it, broken, breathless, fragile. Less than I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Greater than. Over and over again, like the words themselves were all she had left. Her voice cracked on every syllable, no longer the composed echo in my mind, but something painfully human. Raw. Less than I'm sorry. Master. I'm sorry. Greater than. Stop. The word cut through the room like a knife. She froze mid-sentence, her mouth still half open. I stepped closer, my fists clenched, my voice low, trembling not from fear, from hurt. Why? I whispered. She didn't respond. My breath hitched. Why did you do that to me? Still nothing, only a flicker of anguish in her downturned eyes. Why didn't you stop her? Why didn't you stop me when I asked you to? When I reached out to you? I asked, louder now, my voice breaking apart with each word. Why did you betray me? After a beat of silence, Raphael finally looked up. Her eyes were wide, filled with panic. Less than I didn't betray you, greater than she said, her voice cracking. Less than I would never. I never could. Greater than, she took a shaky breath, as if the words physically hurt to say. Less than I did it for you, master. Everything I didn't do, it was all for your sake. Greater than, her voice failed her again. She clenched her trembling fists at her sides, desperate, choking on her own guilt. Raphael's shoulders hunched forward, as if the weight of her words threatened to crush her. Less than there was a reason, greater than she whispered. Less than it was necessary. Greater than, Rimuru's brows drew together sharply. Quote. What do you mean by that? Her voice was cold, flat, wary. Raphael flinched just barely, but it was enough. Raphael's lips trembled as she tried to steady herself. Then, in a quiet, brittle voice, she spoke again. Less than when I told you Shizu's will was influencing you, that wasn't the whole truth. Greater than, Rimuru's eyes narrowed, body still and silent. Waiting, Raphael exhaled shakily, as if bracing herself against the weight of what she was about to say. Her next words came slowly, each one heavy, reluctant, like she hated the truth but could no longer hide it. Less than the truth is, when you consumed Shizu, hoping to bring her peace, it wasn't like the others. Greater than, she clasped her hands together tightly in front of her, trembling. Less than when you devour other monsters, I break down their magicules. Their wills fade, their souls pass on or are recycled as energy. If they're too strong, like Ifrit, I isolate them to protect you. Greater than, her voice dropped lower. Less than but not Shizu. You didn't want her broken down. You didn't want her gone. You loved her, admired her, wanted her to be safe, happy, at peace. Greater than, Rimuru's breath caught but she didn't move. Didn't speak. Less than so. I placed her soul close to yours. Not isolated, not destroyed, close, in the astral body. Greater than, Raphael's gaze rose again, meeting Rimuru's eyes, vulnerable and raw. Less than the astral body is the deepest layer of existence, greater than she explained softly. Less than it protects the soul, shapes identity, and when I placed her there, part of her began to bleed into you. Greater than, she paused. Less than not as possession, not control, but a presence, gentle, subtle. Over time, her grace, her calm, her femininity, it began to blend with your own. Greater than, Raphael's voice faltered again, her words barely above a whisper now. Less than, her soul, it was merging with yours. Greater than, Rimuru's breath hitched. Less than I had no way to stop it. Greater than, Raphael continued, her eyes full of pain. Less than I tried. I searched every possibility, every skill, every method in my database. There was no way to reverse the merger once it began. Greater than, she looked away, ashamed. Less than at first it was slow, subtle, but as time passed, the merging accelerated. And I couldn't separate her without destroying a part of you. Greater than, Rimuru stared, stunned, silent. Raphael swallowed hard, then continued. Less than but then, when you defeated the Orc Lord, you gained the sub-skill Corrosion. A destructive skill, one capable of breaking down even soul fragments. Greater than, she hesitated, guilt rippling across her expression. Less than I carefully used it delicately, precisely to try and peel her away. To stop the merger. But it was too late. Greater than, her gaze dropped again, fists trembling. Less than her soul was already clinging to yours. Fused, trying to become one with you. It was impossible to fully remove her without complete elimination. Greater than, another beat of silence. Less than I knew you wouldn't want that. You wouldn't want Shizu's soul to be erased. So, greater than, her voice trembled. Less than I tried a different approach. I used corrosion only on the outer edges on the part of Shizu's soul that hadn't yet clinging to your soul. Greater than, she looked up, eyes brimming with grief. Less than I managed to separate a portion of her soul from yours, just enough to halt the full merger. I made sure, absolutely sure, not to damage her soul. Or yours. Greater than, she placed a hand gently over her chest, as if feeling the weight of that choice all over again. Less than I isolated that part of her, secured it safely within your astral body. So she wouldn't vanish, so you wouldn't lose her, so you wouldn't lose yourself. Greater than, Rimuru's voice cut through the silence, raw and accusing. Then why didn't you tell me before? Raphael flinched at the question, guilt flashing in her red eyes. She opened her mouth slowly, her voice barely above a breath. Less than because your soul was resisting the merger. Greater than, Rimuru's brows drew down, confused. Raphael continued, voice shaking. Less than even without your knowledge, unconsciously, your soul recognized Shizu's as a threat. It began trying to push her away. To destroy her. Greater than, she looked down, her expression twisted in pain. Less than I knew that if I let it happen, if I let you destroy her soul, even without meaning to, you'd blame yourself. You'd carry that guilt forever. So I stopped it. I stopped your soul from tearing hers apart. Greater than, Rimuru stood frozen, lips parted, breath caught in her throat. Raphael's voice softened, almost pleading. Less than, and if I told you that her soul was merging with yours, you would have tried to resist it. Tried to pull away. But something like that, it isn't simple. Greater than, she took a slow, shuddering breath, gaze unfocused. Less than, it's like when something delicate gets stuck to cloth glue on silk. If you try to force it apart, you don't just remove what's stuck, you rip the fabric itself. Your soul could have been torn. Greater than, her whisper trembled. Less than I couldn't let that happen to you. Greater than, Raphael's voice grew quieter, almost like she was confessing a sin. Less than the only way out of it was for your soul to stop resisting. Greater than, her eyes met mine, red and sorrowful, not cold or distant like usual. Less than for the merger to stop causing harm, your soul had to accept it. Fully, willingly. That was the only way to stabilize the process without damaging either of you. Greater than, she looked away again. She took another breath, shaky, raw. Less than, but then, when Ren made you dress up, when I saw you hesitate, and still let them continue, when you stood there in that feminine outfit, reluctant but not resisting. Greater than, she paused. Less than, something changed. Greater than, I didn't move. Raphael's voice dipped low again. Less than your soul's resistance, it weakened. Just a little, just enough. It was like, that part of you, your self-image, started to shift. And because of that, the conflict inside eased. Greater than, she looked back at me, eyes glinting with restrained pain. Less than I realized that if you slowly accepted this new version of yourself, if you embraced the changes, the elegance, the gentleness, even if just on the surface, then your soul might begin to unconsciously accept Shizu's as well. And if that happened, the merger could succeed. Greater than, her hands clenched at her sides. Less than you wouldn't feel guilty. You wouldn't need to destroy her. Her soul wouldn't have to vanish. Part of her could live on, isolated and preserved safely. But another part, greater than, she touched her chest. Less than, would quietly become a part of you. Greater than, Raphael's red eyes didn't leave mine, even as they shimmered with guilt. Less than that way. I thought, if your soul accepted the change little by little, it would also accept her. The merger would happen without pain. Without destruction. Greater than, she swallowed hard. Less than, so I tried to help it along, quietly. Without telling you. Without forcing anything. Just guiding, from the background. Greater than, her voice trembled again. Less than I didn't interfere with the way you were changing. I didn't stop Ren, even when I saw it happening, even when I heard your doubts. I stayed silent. Greater than, her fists clenched tighter, knuckles pale. Less than because I thought, if I interfered, if I pulled you away from it, you might start resisting again. You might reject it and her soul with it. And then, greater than, she looked down, as if ashamed of the next words. Less than I didn't want to lose you. Greater than, the silence that followed was suffocating. Raphael stood there exposed, trembling, and so achingly human. Her final words hung in the air like a fragile thread, waiting to snap. I stared at her, at Raphael, this being I'd always known as calm, controlled, unshakable. Now she looked like she was barely holding herself together. And it hit me. All this time, she'd been doing it for me. Everything. The silence. The guidance. The painful choices. She wasn't betraying me. She was protecting me. In the only way she knew how. My jaw tightened, and I looked away, breath shallow. Damn it, I muttered, the words bitter in my mouth. I was furious at you. I wanted to blame you for everything, for letting it happen, for changing me, for not saying anything. I clenched my fists, nails digging into my palms. But the truth is, you were carrying all of it. The risk, the weight, the guilt. My voice dropped lower, rough, steady, but cold. You took that pain yourself, because you thought it was the only way to protect me. I exhaled slowly, tension coiling in my chest. And I just threw my anger at you. I accused you when you were doing everything to keep me from breaking. I met her eyes again, those red eyes filled with guilt. I don't know whether to be angry at myself or just ashamed. I looked down, my expression hardening with quiet regret. I'm sorry, Raphael. A pause. You didn't deserve that. Raphael stood still, red eyes never leaving mine. Then she spoke, her voice soft. Fragile. Less than. It's okay. Greater than. I looked up at her. Less than. It's okay for you to be angry, master. I understand. Greater than. She gave a pained smile, small, barely there. But it trembled at the corners, like it hurt just to wear it. Less than if bearing your anger is the price I have to pay. I'll accept it. Greater than. Her voice wavered, but her eyes held steady. Less than I will do everything for your sake. Always. Even if it means you hating me. Greater than. That smile faltered for a second. Less than I don't want that. I don't want you to hate me. But if it's what I must endure to protect you, then I'll endure it. No matter how painful. Greater than. She said it like a vow, quiet, resolute. And still, she stood there. Waiting. Ready. For whatever I'd say next. Her words lingered in the air, soft, honest, full of pain. I didn't even realize I'd moved until I was already there, arms wrapping around her. It wasn't planned. It wasn't thought out. It just happened. Raphael stiffened in surprise, but she didn't pull away. For a second, she stood frozen in my embrace, trembling faintly, before I felt her relax, just a little. Her forehead rested gently against my shoulder, and I felt her take in a quiet, shaky breath like she didn't dare believe it. And then it hit me. What I was doing. I stepped back abruptly. I'm sorry, I said quickly, looking away. I shouldn't have. I didn't mean to do that without asking. My voice came out awkward, flustered. I didn't know what kind of boundary I'd just crossed. But I meant it, every bit of the comfort I tried to give her in that moment. Even if I didn't know what it meant yet. Raphael blinked, as if surprised I would even say that. Then slowly her red eyes softened. The tremble in her frame eased. She gave me a small smile. Not the pained one from earlier. But a warm, gentle one, almost happy. Less than you don't have to ask, master. Greater than, she said quietly. Less than I belong to you. Greater than. She stepped a little closer, just enough to meet my eyes without hesitation. Less than you could do anything to me, and I would accept it. Gladly. Greater than. Her smile grew faintly brighter, touched by something pure. Less than because it's you. Greater than. Raphael's words lingered in the air, delicate and unwavering. Because it's you. My emotions were swirling, twisting, folding into something I could no longer deny. Love. I stared at Raphael, breathless, dazed. I love you, I said. The words escaping before I could overthink them again. I love you, Raphael. There was no going back from that. But for the first time in a long time, I didn't want to be continued.